Deutsch. I hope you were listening to the start of my show. Hope you were listening last hour to the radio show on USA Radio. This hour on Newsmax TV. I'm coming for you, Donnie. I want you, Donnie. You said you wanted Trump in a schoolyard brawl. Well, you got Wayne Root in a schoolyard brawl, and I'll set it up here in Las Vegas, one-on-one, all proceeds to charity, and I'm going to kick your ass, buddy. Just wanted you to know that. The right is going to have the might and bring it on Fight Night in Las Vegas. See, I'm a poet. I didn't even know it. It's like a Muhammad Ali thing. Just came to me. Our guest is a real fighter. He's the kind of guy I want to see in a ring against liberals. He's a street fighter just like I am, and a street fighter on behalf of our great president of the United States, Donald Trump. Nobody thinks more like me and Trump than Corey Lewandowski. This guy is fantastic. He was the perfect campaign manager to kick off Donald Trump's presidential run. He got him more than halfway home. I think Trump owes him an awful lot. A lot of the way to be president of the United States started with Corey Lewandowski. He's my friend, and I'm proud to have him on the show. Welcome to Newsmax TV and USA Radio, Corey.
Oh, Wayne, thank you so much, and I'm so proud and honored to be on with you tonight. And it's a big privilege for me. So thank you for having me.
So let's start with Trump's tweets. Personally, at first I even thought, you know what? I'm always pro Donald. Always, always, always. I mean, 100 out of 100 times I'm pro Donald. Anything he does, he's brilliant. I'm with him. But even I thought, you know what? He didn't have to do that. It kind of changed the topic. We're winning everything. Why do that? And then I had a change of heart today. And I said, you know what? This guy is so brilliant. Everything he does is purposeful. It's not by mistake. And he's probably distracting the liberals. They're freaking out. They're going nuclear. And it's all they could talk about is his comments about, her face, when in reality, he's looking to distract them while we win our agenda. And I think there's probably a method to the madness, and it's brilliance. What do you think?
Wayne, I have seen candidate Trump before he was a candidate. I've seen him during a candidate. I've seen him when he was the president-elect, and now I've seen him as the president. I've seen him use Twitter unlike any other person. And for 2.5 years now, since I've had the privilege of being next to him, I have had every pundit on the left and the right say, oh, my God, Donald, we need you to stop tweeting. Please don't say these things, only to find out 2 weeks later what he tweeted about was accurate. Let me give you a great example. Maybe I was, quote, taped by the Obama administration. He said something along that nature. Right. Guess what we found out a couple weeks later? And now we have Loretta Lynch, who's going to have to be deposed in front of Congress. We do know that the Obama administration was listening to people at Trump Tower. We do know they applied for multiple FISA warrants. We do know that Susan Rice was unmasking U.S. citizens for political purposes. He raises issues. The mainstream media goes into a complete tailspin, and then for 2 weeks, they're focused on what he actually wants to be talking about, not what they want to be talking about. So, look, I've seen this so many times, Wayne. He is a genius. He's forward-thinking. He understands the power of his social media, which connects him with 100 million people directly, and uses that in a very efficient manner.
Hey, I'm all for it. You know me. I'm a New York street fighter. I've been in 1,000 scrapes in my life, grew up in a rough neighborhood, attended an almost 100% black inner-city high school. I love to fight and win people's respect. And so I think the best defense is always a good offense, and I always want Donald on offense. All that's great. My only original thought was I would go after someone like Mika Brzezinski, whatever the hell she pronounces her name. Hey, look, your father was the worst Secretary of State in the history of America, and I see you carry on the same stupid, ignorant, liberal tradition. That's how I'd attack. I just wouldn't worry about her face or her plastic surgery. I just thought his choice of attack should be about politics. She's another dumb Upper East Side liberal from Manhattan who has never in her entire life lived in anything except a rich neighborhood, and she's a spoiled brat. That's the way I would have gone after her.
Yeah,
not her
Wayne,
face.
Look, here's the problem. The left, and particularly the mainstream media, are such hypocrites. They attack the president. They say negative things about him. They call him. They're mentally diagnosing him from television and from interviews, and they're making assessments on his mental capacity. And if he strikes back, he says anything, he mentions a specific reporter or responds to a specific mention from a mainstream media outlet, they say, that is below the dignity of the office of the president, is what they say. But what is amazing is that individuals, and look, I understand the freedom of the press. Of course I understand it. But to go and say some of the things that they have said about him that have been so egregious, so over the top, nobody on the left stands up. Nobody from the mainstream media stands up. Nobody from the White House Correspondents Association stands up and says, That's over the line.
And
you
Corey,
know, we don't need
ask?
to do that.
And what I would ask is, speaking of words versus actions, I'm an SOB. You know, I'm a son of a butcher. And my dad, the butcher, had a lot of wisdom, the blue-collar butcher. He always said that, you know, words can't hurt you. You know, only actions can hurt you. Someone punches you in the face, that hurts. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt you. And so when you talk about Trump's words versus what Obama did to conservative activists like me, I was on Fox News day and night, Corey, attacking Obamacare in 2009, 2010. And next thing you know, I'm the subject of an IRS major investigation that lasted 3 years. They tried to destroy me and destroy my life and bankrupt me. That's stuff you'd expect from the Gestapo. That's stuff you'd expect from the Soviet Gulag. And that's stuff you might expect from Richard Nixon, whose second article of impeachment was using the IRS to destroy his political opponents. I didn't hear one liberal in the media say a word about persecution of conservatives like me, up close and personal, Wayne Root, by the IRS. When Obama used actions to destroy people's lives, they said nothing. They're worried about the words of Trump. How ridiculous is that?
Wayne, we've seen this time and time again with the previous administration, where the IRS commissioner, you know, was single-handedly targeting conservative nonprofits and preventing them from getting a nonprofit status because they didn't believe what they stood for. That's one thing. Then we know they specifically went after other conservative nonprofits and attacked them to the tune of probably tens of millions of dollars in legal fees. And when that individual was brought before Congress, and Congress held that person in contempt, Eric Holder, the former Attorney General, said, the Justice Department is not going to take up this case. There is nothing to see here. It is amazing. There was no outcry from the mainstream media. No one stood up and said, you know what, we have separate but equal branches of government, and when Congress holds someone in contempt, the Justice Department should move forth with those proceedings and hold that person accountable. Nobody said that.
Hey,
and
Corey,
you have to remember this, Wayne. The worst part is the hypocrisy of the media. When they are in private, you know, I am certain they are telling Donald Trump how great he is and how much they love going to his dinner parties and being part of, you know, the inner workings of what he knows. And then many of them, many mainstream media pundits and prognosticators go on television and completely say something completely opposite than what they've said in private because they're very disingenuous people.
And it's funny because you just mentioned that Holder, the Attorney General, said to the guy who got held in contempt of Congress, the IRS commissioner, hey, we're not going to go after this. There's nothing there. You know what you didn't even talk about? That Holder himself was held in contempt of Congress, the first and only Attorney General in the history of America to ever be held in contempt of Congress. That's the kind of lawless administration we had, and the media didn't care about Fast and Furious and about the lies of Benghazi and the lying by Hillary to the faces of parents of dead soldiers, you know, dead military men who died at Benghazi. They didn't care about the IRS. They didn't care about the surveillance. They didn't care about the Susan Rice unmasking. They don't care about the Seth Rich murder. They don't care about anything bad done under Barack Obama, but if you tweet a word, they make it the biggest news. Let's talk about Obamacare. Let's move away from the tweets. I'm on with Corey Lewandowski, the great original campaign manager of Donald Trump. What's your role now in the Trump administration, Corey?
You know, Wayne, I have no formal role, and from time to time, I'm given the privilege of speaking to some of the people in the administration. As you know, a number of my friends went on to serve inside the government, and I'm in a great position because they call me sometimes, and when they do, they'll ask for my advice on some ideas. But I'm under no obligation to tell either the president or the staff what they want to hear. And what I mean by that is if things aren't going well, I'm honest with them because I'm not looking for a job. I'm not looking to go on the inside. I'm not looking to curry favor. I want the president and this administration to be successful. So if and when people call me and ask me what my opinions are on specific piece of legislation or broad ideas, if I'm given that privilege, I always tell them the truth because I have nothing to gain by lying, and I think that's very, very different than some of the other people who might be involved in the administration, unfortunately.
Well, I'll give you a title. I think you're the chief pit bull of the Trump administration. That's what I think you are. So,
well, I'll take that. Thank you. That's an honor.
And that makes me the assistant pit bull. Okay, I'll be number 2 behind you because I think you're first in line. But you and I are very like-minded. I think the best defense is a great offense. Torah, attack, and go after these people as viciously as they went after us. What are your thoughts on Obamacare? Are we going to pass this, or are the wimps in the Republican Congress, the Republican Senate in this case, going to wimp out and destroy everything about the Trump agenda? Because if you don't pass this, you have badly crimped the Trump agenda at the very start. I don't know if you can get tax cuts without the money saved by Obamacare. You've screwed up everything. I don't know if we get reelected and we keep Congress in 18. I don't know if we reelect our man Donald Trump at 20 if you don't pass the repeal. It's got to be passed, Corey. What are your thoughts?
Wayne, the president campaigned on a pledge to repeal and replace Obamacare. It was one of the hallmarks of this campaign. You couple that with stopping illegal immigration, passing tax reform, and investing billions of dollars in infrastructure. But when you put all that, $1 trillion in infrastructure, when you put all that aside, for 7 years, Republicans in Congress said they had a plan to repeal and replace Obamacare, but they couldn't do it under the previous administration. Donald Trump came in and said, let's get it done. And unfortunately, right now, there's a 52-48 majority of Republicans in the U.S. Senate, and we know for sure the Republican U.S. Senator from the state of Nevada,
Yes.
which you know well,
Yes.
has come out publicly and said, under no circumstances am I going to support this legislation. You know what that says? Let me make a little news right now. You know what that says to me? That person isn't on the president's agenda. That person doesn't have the core values of the Republican Party, and that person should be primaried next year in the Republican primary to hold that person accountable for not supporting the pledges that the Republicans made for 7 years, which is to repeal and replace Obamacare.
We're on the way out, buddy. When you hear the music, we're on the way out. Thank you for coming on. We're with you. It's going to get done. He's going to be primaried. I called him one and done Dean, as in one and done Dean Hiller, one term, and you're gone. You're a traitor. You're a backstabber unless you vote yes. Change your mind and vote yes on the repeal. Be right back.